For 7 years, I thought I had it all. A loving husband, a cozy suburban home, a fulfilling career as a pediatric nurse practitioner. Everything a woman could dream of. Every morning, I do wake up to the sound of birds chirping outside our window, make breakfast for my little girl, and head off to work, feeling grateful for my life. My husband, David, was the rock of our family. He worked long hours, often traveling for business, but he always made sure to call and check in. Our weekends were filled with family outings, picnics in the park, trips to the beach, and movie nights at home. But beneath this idyllic surface, cracks were forming. I started noticing small inconsistencies, late calls, unexplained absences, and a growing distance between us. At first, I dismissed them as stress from work or the usual marital hiccups. After all, every relationship has its ups and downs, right? I convinced myself that everything was fine, that I was just being paranoid. Little did I know, the truth was far more devastating than I could ever imagine. It started with a phone call I wasn't supposed to hear. One evening, while David was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the bedside table. A message popped up on the screen, just a few words, but they made my heart stop. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, love you." The sender's name was blurred, but the familiar ringtone that followed confirmed it was from someone he spoke to regularly. I felt a cold wave of panic. Who was this? Why hadn't he mentioned her? I tried to rationalize it, maybe it was a colleague or a family member. But the tone of the message was too intimate to ignore. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with questions. When David finally fell asleep, I reached for his phone. My hands trembled as I typed in his password, one I'd known for years. The messages were there. Dozens of them. Photos. Voice notes. All addressed to someone named Lena. My stomach churned as I read through them. They spoke of meetings, secret getaways, plans for the future. It was like watching my life unravel in real time. The next morning, I acted as if nothing had happened. I made breakfast, kissed my daughter goodbye, and waved David off to work with a smile. But inside, I was shattered. I spent the day in a fog, barely able to focus on my patients. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages. Love you. Can't wait. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately. Another part begged me to ignore it, to pretend I hadn't seen anything. Maybe it was all a misunderstanding. Maybe Lena was just a friend. Maybe David was being set up. My mind clung to these excuses like a lifeline. That evening, I tried to bring it up casually. "Who's Lena?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. David's face went blank for a second, then he laughed. "Oh, that's just a co-worker." "Why?" His answer was too quick, too rehearsed. I forced a smile and dropped the subject, but the seed of doubt had already taken root. I couldn't let it go. Over the next few days, I started paying closer attention. I noticed things I'd ignored before, the way he'd turn his phone face down when I entered the room. The sudden work trips he never mentioned in advance. The unfamiliar perfume lingering on his clothes. One night, while he was asleep, I searched his laptop. It took me hours to find what I was looking for, a hidden folder labeled projects. Inside were photos. Photos of David and a woman, Lena, at restaurants, in hotels, on vacations. They were happy, carefree, like a couple in love. There were even tickets to a flight, for two, scheduled for the following week. My hands went numb. My vision blurred. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal. How long had this been going on? Was our entire marriage a lie? I couldn't keep it inside anymore. The next morning, I waited until my daughter was at school and David was about to leave for work. "We need to talk," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. He frowned. "Can it wait? I'm running late." "No," I replied, holding up his phone, the one I'd taken from his nightstand. "This can't wait." At first, he tried to deny it. "It's not what it looks like," he said, his eyes darting around the room. But when I showed him the photos, the tickets, the messages, his face fell. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never meant for you to find out." Those words cut deeper than any explanation. "How long?" I asked. 3 years, he admitted. 3 years? Half of our marriage. 3 years of lies, secrets, stolen moments. I felt the ground give way beneath me. After that conversation, everything changed. David moved out the same day, claiming he needed space. I didn't argue. I just nodded and watched him pack his things. For the first time in years, I was alone. My daughter noticed the tension but didn't understand. "Where's Daddy?" she asked every night. I didn't have an answer. I spent my days in a haze, going through the motions at work, forcing myself to eat, to sleep, to breathe. At night, I'd lie awake, replaying every moment of our marriage, searching for signs I'd missed. Had I been too trusting? Too naive? Friends tried to comfort me. "You're better off without him," they said. But their words felt hollow. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was just numb. A week after David left, I received a call from an unknown number. "Hello, is this Sarah?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes," I replied cautiously. "My name is Claire. I'm Lena's sister." My stomach dropped. "What do you want?" "I think you should know something," she said. "Lena isn't just his girlfriend. She's his wife." I nearly dropped the phone. "What?" "They got married 2 years ago. She didn't know about you until recently. She thought she was his only wife." The world tilted. Another wife? Another marriage? How could I have been so blind? Claire told me everything, how David had met Lena while working in another city, how he'd convinced her he was single, how they'd built a life together. She'd only just discovered the truth when she found old photos of me and our daughter and his things. Claire's revelation hit me like a tidal wave. Another wife? A whole other family? My mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of David's secret world. Over the next few days, Claire and I spoke often. She shared details I never wanted to know, how David had maintained two households, how he'd juggled schedules to be with both families, how he'd even celebrated holidays with Lena while I thought he was working late. "He told me he was divorced," Claire said, her voice breaking. "He said his ex-wife was difficult and refused to let him see their daughter." I believed him. I felt sorry for him. I wanted to hate her, this woman who had unknowingly become part of my nightmare. But instead, I felt a strange kinship. We were both victims of the same man's deceit. Together, we began to uncover the full scope of his double life. Bank accounts in different cities, leased apartments, credit cards with names I didn't recognize. The man I'd married wasn't just unfaithful. He was a master manipulator who had built an entire parallel existence. The more I learned, the more my perfect world crumbled. I'd always believed in the sanctity of marriage, in the promise of till death do us part. But David had turned that promise into a cruel joke. I started therapy. My therapist, Dr. Alice, helped me see what I'd been too blind to notice. The business trips that never aligned with company schedules. The sudden projects that required him to work late. The vague explanations for missing funds. The way he'd always kept his phone close, even in the shower. Each revelation felt like another nail in the coffin of my old life. But with every painful truth, I also felt a strange sense of liberation. The lies that had bound me were unraveling, and though the process was agonizing, it was also cleansing. One night, I dreamed of David. In the dream, he stood at the edge of a cliff, begging me to save him. When I reached out, he pulled me over with him. I woke up gasping, my pillow soaked with tears. It was then I realized I couldn't save him. I could only save myself.